Welcome back to Cinema Bucket List, the show where we make our way through the 1001 movies you must see before you die, a growing list of 1,245 must-watch films for all cinephiles. As always, I'm Mike, returning with 11 more films from the list. French New Wave cinema and I rarely get along. Of the films I have seen that could be classified as French New Wave, they are either too avant-garde, too brooding, or the worst offense of all, too boring. So when the random number generator landed on Lola, I was a little bit worried, but it proved me wrong. This 1960s romance, while containing some of the French cliches of the era, such as the melancholy romantic, it displayed a sense of hope and lust for life that is often missing from this era. Anouk Aimée is utterly charming as the titular character, and all the men pining over her are not the archetypical cartoonish characters you see from similar films. To put it simply, this film surprised me, and I'm keeping it on the list.
Eh bien moi, quand j'étais petite, je rêvais d'être grande et bien faite, et d'être danseuse, à l'opéra évidemment. J'ai dû me tromper de chemin au cours du voyage.
I connected with this documentary way more than I expected. Seeing the persistence of two 50-plus-year-old men still working for their dreams and the success they know they deserve reminded me a lot of myself as a filmmaker. But to watch them be so incredibly positive and optimistic was inspiring in itself. On top of that, the metalhead in me loved the music in the film. I can't speak for non-metalheads, but you couldn't help but root for these guys and cheer for them in their successes and mourn for them when they fell short. I'm keeping this heartwarming documentary on the list.
You're my fucking brother, man. Who else can I fucking cry on their shoulder or fucking say shit to? Yeah. Who else?
What can be said about the Godfather series that hasn't already been said? I think the best part of these two films, along with incredible performances, is that they both can stand on their own. Take away the connection of the Corleone family, and they are still incredible by themselves. They are each filled with equally iconic scenes and have survived the test of time.
I know it was you, Fredo. You broke my heart. You broke my heart.
With 9 Oscars shared between the two films, this series is an American culture staple, except the third one. We don't talk about the third one.
You haven't kissed me hello yet. Relatives always kiss.
Oh, no, we're related.
I'm your little cousin.
With amazing performances from Marlon Brando, Al Pacino, Robert Duvall, and Robert De Niro, there is no doubt in my mind that this stays on the list. Movies that have the premise of white man knows the plight of a minority group because they lived with them are always on a slippery slope. It usually ends up falling to the white savior trope. I was worried about that going into Hombre, as Paul Newman plays a white man who was raised by Apache Native Americans. While this does have some white savior vibes, it's not the feel-good kind of movie that are designed to make non-racist white people feel better about themselves. It's an intense examination of humanity, empathy, and mercy that merely uses race to frame it. This film had me sitting on the edge of my seat, and I loved every minute of it. I'm keeping it on my bucket list.
Well, now, what do you suppose hell is gonna look like?
We all die, it's just a question of when.
Disney animated films before the 1990s are very hit and miss with me. I don't typically care for princess classics that made Disney a household name, and Snow White and the Seven Dwarves is no exception. I'm willing to go as far as saying I straight up do not like this movie. It's dull and corny, and I even felt that way as a kid. But to me, there are other reasons to keep movies on the list other than quality and enjoyment. Cultural and historical significance. Snow White is the first feature-length animated film ever made. Without it, we wouldn't have some of our favorite animated films. Yeah, you could argue that another film would have come along, but it didn't. It was Snow White. And for that reason, it stays on the list for me.
Lips red as the rose, hair black as ebony, skin white as snow.
Snow White.
David Fincher's 1995 crime thriller has so many memorable moments that it's hard to go a week without seeing or hearing some kind of reference to it. The infamous "What's in the box" scene is probably quoted in at least one house in every town in the world daily. It's not just the writing, it's also the gritty cinematography and the impossible to forget murders that make this film so memorable. The performances by Morgan Freeman, Brad Pitt, and Kevin Spacey are among the best in all three of their careers. My only complaint about this film is that I can't forget about the ending when rewatching it, so I'm unable to feel that reveal again in real time. Stupid brain remembering stuff. It stays on the list.
You're right.
Well, no point in arguing anymore.
The directorial debut of famed actor Robert Redford, Ordinary People is a wonderfully human story that seemed to be ahead of its time, examining the social taboo of therapy. That's taboo for the 80s, of course, not the relative norm it is today. It examines the outlook society has on therapy and psychiatry through the lens of one family with a suicidal son as the centerpiece. The performances all around are great, with Donald Sutherland as the cautious father who just wants what's best for his son, juxtaposed with Mary Tyler Moore taking an unexpected turn as an apathetic mother, more worried about her public image. Despite the cruel nature of Moore's archetypical character, she expertly brings humanity to the role. And Judd Hirsch as the blunt psychiatrist is a perfect match for his patient Conrad, played by Timothy Hutton. While every aspect of this film is great, if everything else was subpar, it would stay on the list for the acting alone.
Ward, you tell me the definition of happy, huh? But first you better make sure that your kids are good and safe, that no one's fallen off a horse, or been hit by a car, or drowned in that swimming pool you're so proud of. Oh. And then you come to me and tell me how to be happy.
This film is actually 4 mostly unconnected stories that all lead up to their own random acts of violence. While I really enjoyed this film, it starts off on an extremely high point with a falling down-esque revenge plot, but each passing story dwindles in quality until you're left looking at how much time is left when the last story is about halfway through. Each segment is well written, well acted, and well directed, but I just found myself to be on the brink of boredom by the end. It is intriguing that the Chinese government allowed it to be made, as it is such a damnation of the treatment of the working class. I don't know how it got past their censors, but I'm glad it did. This is a tough decision for me because the first segment is so incredible, but I think I'm going to remove this film and replace it with Wild Tales. Similar to A Touch of Sin, this Argentinian film is a collection of vignettes, but in this case, it is a comedy and each part is just as good as the last.
你大，你瞅瞅大，这瘦的家伙，晚上8、7号你看。
Just 4 years into the Cold War, Robert Wise delivered what is one of, if not the first warning of the terror that is nuclear warfare in the form of this classic sci-fi film. With realistic depictions of how the trigger-happy US Army would probably react to an alien messenger coming in peace, it's not hard to believe everyone's fanatical response. Sure, it has the cheese and camp of the 1950s B-movie, but it holds up even 70 years later. Well, except for the rubber suit of Gort, maybe. Regardless, this stays on the list.
Your choice is simple. Join us and live in peace, or pursue your present course and face obliteration. We shall be waiting for your answer. The decision rests with you.
Every so often, you can acknowledge that a film is masterful while still hating it. That's the case with me in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. The acting, the writing, direction, cinematography, editing, and everything down to the music, it's all A+ work from everyone involved. I acknowledge that. I understand that it's a classic and I understand why, and I don't wish to change that. But great googly moogly is it annoying. Elizabeth Taylor, Richard Burton, George Segal, and Sandy Dennis all deliver career best performances, but goddamn do I hate them. None of their characters have a single redeeming quality. I hate their characters and I hate this movie, but that's no reason for me to deprive you all of it and remove it from the list. That's gonna happen sometimes. Some movies are just bigger than my personal opinions, and this is one of them. It stays on.
I said snap went the dragons.
Yeah, we know.
Snap.
Don't, George!
Snap.
Don't do that.
Shut up, stud.
I'm not a stud.
Snap, then you're a houseboy. Which is it? Which are you, huh? Snap.
Does it matter to you, George?
Snap.
And that does it for episode 3 of Cinema Bucket List. Have you started working through it yet? How many have you seen? What did you think of the films featured in this video? Comment down below and share your thoughts, and if you feel like it, give this video a like and subscribe. As always, I am Mike, and I will be back next month with at least 10 more films for the 1001 movies you must see before you die. See you then.